Project Blue Book was the name of the Air Force's official program for investigating unidentified flying objects. It came into being in 1951 as the successor to two other projects, the first of which had been launched 4 years earlier, after a number of people across the United States had reported seeing UFOs. During the years that followed, the Air Force received thousands of UFO reports. Their investigations found conventional explanations for most of them, but there were some sightings which the Air Force could not or did not explain. As a result, many people began to suspect that the government was not telling all that it knew, and there were accusations that they were deliberately censoring information which the public had a right to know. Eventually, in 1966, an independent study was set up at the University of Colorado under the direction of Dr. Edward Condon. Condon's team were given more than 30 years of Air Force files to examine, and 2 years later, they published a report that concluded that there was no hard evidence that UFOs were, quote, anything but conventional phenomena misunderstood, end quote. Largely as a result of this report, the government decided to bring Project Blue Book to a close. On these recordings, we give you an opportunity to judge for yourself whether the UFO phenomenon deserves further investigation. You will be hearing eyewitness reports as they were presented to Air Force investigators, and will get some idea of the problems which these investigators faced. With no hard physical evidence to work from, they had to rely on what people told them they had seen. But no two people see things in the same light, as is borne out in our first example. In this incident, several people at Utah Central Airport saw a strange object in the sky. In the 3 interviews that follow, with Waldo Harris, a pilot, Robert Butler, an aircraft mechanic, and Jay Galbraith, the airport's operator, you will hear each of them describe what he saw. Although there are similarities in each report, there are also a number of interesting variations.
Would you give her your name and address, sir?
My name is Waldo J. Harris.
And what was your occupation?
Real estate broker.
What type of a pilot's license do you have?
Single engine land.
And about
Private.
how many hours do you have?
Oh, approximately 600.
With regard to this unidentified object, when did you first sight it?
Just as I was making my takeoff run on Utah Central Airport.
And when the best observation you had, would you describe the shape of this object?
Well, it appeared to be circular or elliptical in shape. As it seemed to rock up to one side, it looked to be a perfect circle. It was still 3 to 5 miles away from me at the closest point, so I couldn't swear that it was circular, but at least it was in that shape at least.
Would this be full circular, or would it be a disc shape?
Well, it was a disc shape. It wasn't like a balloon. It was more like a saucer. A little thicker in the center and thinner toward the edges.
What would you estimate the size, the length?
Well, I would say somewhere between 35 and 50 feet. I would say it was about half again as wide as the wingspan on the Mooney. And what is the wingspan on the Mooney? 35 feet. 35 feet, and then it'd be a good 50 feet across.
Right, and how thick?
Well, I would guess about 4 feet.
Oh,
maybe a little thicker than that in the center, but not much more than that.
With regard to the color, how would you describe that?
A gray. Of course, now I was looking toward the bright part of the sky in the south, and it was, I would say, a light gray when there was no sun reflected on it, and then when the sun reflected, it was bright like a mirror.
Now, were there any, as compared to a manned aircraft, were there any vapor trail, exhaust?
Nothing that I could observe, and I was looking closely for that because when it began to move, I was wondering if there wouldn't be some kind of an exhaust fume or trail or something, but there seemed to be none that I could see.
Did this have any of the characteristics of a manned aircraft, such as wing section or tail section?
No wing section or tail section or any protruding surface out of this smooth, circular, disc-shaped surface.
Were there any ports, such as exhaust pipes?
Couldn't see any portholes of any kind. No windows, nothing. But again, I was looking toward the light part of the sky, and it's possible that there were some that weren't visible.
Well, did you hear any sound at this time?
No, I was in the airplane, and of course my own engine was making enough noise that I wouldn't have heard anything outside unless it was considerably louder than my own.
At the closest point, at what angle was the object from you?
Oh, I would say about possibly a 10-degree above my level, and straight ahead, 0 degrees relative bearing.
You were flying south at the time?
I was flying on a 180-degree heading.
And then that would be directly south of you.
Right.
Do you recall what your altitude was at this time?
6,000.
And what would the altitude of the object be?
Between 65 and 7,000.
And at this time, how close do you estimate you were?
I would guess between 3 and 5 miles, somewhere in that vicinity.
During the complete observation, with regard to the flight path, was it did it travel one side or the other, up or down?
While it was standing practically still in the sky, it seemed to be in a little rocking motion. There would be times when it would rock up so that the sun would reflect on it. There were other times when it would rock down flat to where it looked almost straight like a pencil. So I was looking at the side view of it. It seemed to be a little wobbling motion while it was standing almost still. When it began to move, it went straight up like an elevator for a little and then moved off toward the south, still climbing at a fairly steep angle, possibly 30-degree angle, going up, and then stopped again, or seemed to stand still, in the neighborhood of the Utah Lake Omni, almost directly over the position of the Utah Lake Omni, as near as I could tell from where I was. And stayed in that position for, possibly a minute or two, maybe a little longer than that, and then made a turn toward the west on a heading I would imagine about a 245 or 250-degree heading, and still climbing on an angle a little less sharp, possibly on a 20-degree angle, and disappeared out of sight in just a few seconds, a second or two.
Could you, at this time, could you give an estimate of the speed, or was it too fast for you?
It was way too fast. When it did decide to go, it really went, and I had, it was visible, clearly visible, and disappeared going away from me in a period of a second or two at the very outside.
In relation to the speed of manned aircraft, say approximately 300 miles an hour, would it be faster than that?
Oh, much faster. I would say probably up in the thousands. The acceleration was extremely fast.
That was
almost like it was being powered by a rocket or something, except there was no trail, no vapor, nothing visible in the way of a powertrain.
Was that the case both when it moved straight upward and then when it moved out at an angle?
When it moved straight up, it went much more slowly, not nearly, and it seemed to move at a steady rate. It didn't seem to be accelerating greatly as it was moving straight up, but as it began to move off on an angle, it was moving quite rapidly. In fact, I would say it covered the area from the inside the point of the valley to over the Utah Lake Omni in a matter of 1 or 2 seconds. It was moving rapidly and seemed to come to a stop quite suddenly, and yet there didn't seem to be any jerkiness to it at all. It was very smooth, controlled maneuver. I would say it was controlled by something or someone.